Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Open Mic Podcast. The Open Mic Podcast, unofficially brought to you by Liquid Death. Murder Your Thirst, Liquid Death. Rest in peach iced tea. Oh man, it's so good. Why just quench your thirst when you can murder your thirst? Liquid Death, the unofficial sponsor of the Open Mic Podcast. And hello, everybody. Welcome. I feel like I have been gone for a while. I was on vacation a week ago and was not very active on social media. And this has been a very busy month for me. And I don't know about you, but this month of July, and it's not even over yet. This did they add days to the month of July? Like July, is it 30 or 31? It feels like 60. This has been a very long month. It's been very hot, even though this week is not as bad. Um, but yeah, man, this has been I hope everybody missed me because I've been gone. I feel like I didn't podcast last week, so it took a week, but it felt good to kind of get away from social media and the constant like having to post and do all that, which I don't mind doing it, but it's nice to take time off and spend time with family and go swimming and just hang out. We did a car show, over the weekend. Got some sun on my head because I didn't put any sun screen on, and didn't wear a hat because I was melting. It was so hot, and yeah, man, been away for a while. And anyways, I'm back, and I like to start the show off talking about a couple things. Um, Recently, we found out today that Ozzy Osbourne passed away, and those of you who do not know who Ozzy Osbourne is, shame on you. But Ozzy Osbourne um, was, some people call him the Prince of Darkness, the Godfather of metal. Ozzy Osbourne founded the band Black Sabbath, and then he also went on to have a solo career in the '80s and '90s. Most of his music's like heavy metal, hard rock, doom metal, as some people might call it. But um, yeah, man, I'd like to take a moment and talk about Ozzy. Ozfest was a festival that they started. I don't remember what year that started, but I've been to Ozfest numerous times. Um, it's like a 2 or 3 day event with 3 or 4 stages set up, and there's so many metal bands, death metal, rock, hard rock. It was so much fun, man, and those are good times in my life that I always remember. Um, Ozzy's real name is John Michael Osborne. I don't know how many people knew that, but he was born in 1948 in England. He's from England, and yeah, man, Ozzy was, when Black Sabbath came out, like there was no music like that at that time, right? Like a lot of people, like Ozzy and Black Sabbath were trendsetters. A lot of people say that about the Beatles and um, numerous bands and singers. They're kind of trendsetters. Like they changed the way music sounded at that time. And Ozzy and Black Sabbath was one of those bands. That's why they call him the Prince of Darkness, the Godfather of metal. Um, but yeah, he was the lead singer of Black Sabbath. They had a darker, like heavier sound that kind of paved the way for metal, the metal and the that type of hard, heavy rock we hear today. Some of the songs that come to mind are Iron Man. I think everybody knows that one. War Pigs, Paranoid. Um, those are just a couple of his songs. Um, but I mean, those songs are like when people think of metal and think of like songs that paved the way. I mean, those are songs that people go to. Like they're just not songs. They're they're like uh I'm trying to think of the correct word. Like they were ahead of their time with those songs and that type of music. I mean, those songs are sacred, kind of like biblical in that metal in that genre. Um, there were he bit a head off a bat one time at a concert. They say it was by accident, but I mean he did a lot of things like he at the Alamo. Um, he like took a whiz on the Alamo one time. While he was wearing his wife's dress, which is kind of weird. I mean, he did a lot of crazy shit, man. He was a crazy, he was a crazy guy. Like most rockers, man, it's that's just a lifestyle. Um, they like walking the line, you know what I'm saying? And he struggled with addiction, depression, stuff like that too. Like a lot of people, um, I feel like in show business or in rock and roll and music, a lot of them, they're traveling all the time, they're touring all the time. They need drugs, they need alcohol to keep going. They can't do it, without it, which I can kind of understand. But he was very open. He put himself out there talking about his addiction, his depression, things of that nature, which that also helps. When an icon like him comes forward and talks about mental illness and talks about addiction and things he struggled with, it helps other people step forward. Um, there was they had a show called The Osbournes, which is on MTV. That started back in the early 2000s. Uh, the show was, in my opinion, was terrible. It was like a reality show of him and his wife Sharon and the two kids at the time. To me, all he did was walk around just kind of yelling for his wife and just bumbling incoherently. It was very hard as he got older to kind of understand what he said. Shut up! Shut! Shut up! That's what he did in the show all the time, and then he sounded like this. It's like, what the hell? Shut up! But that show, that's kind of all he did on that show. He was 76 years old, but he started battling Parkinson's disease, and ultimately that's what he succumbed to was advanced Parkinson's. But he had done some collaborations with some singers over the years. I don't know how. As he got older, he you couldn't understand anything he said. The Parkinson's was getting worse, um, and ultimately he succumbed to his Parkinson's disease. Just I think last week they did a Black Sabbath kind of like a farewell tour, and how he. I don't know any details. I don't know if he sang. I don't know if he did any of that, but I don't know how he would have at this point. Um, But he's had some quotes over the years. One of them he said, "I'm not afraid of dying. I just don't want to be there when it happens." He also said being sober is the greatest thing that's ever happened to him. So Ozzy was a uh, an icon. Um, he was a legend, and I'm sure, will be missed by his family, by many. They say he passed, peacefully around his loved ones and his family, and that's kind of the way to go. So yeah, man. Anybody wants to share any thoughts? Open my podcast 76 at outlook.com. Anybody want to email in, talk about your favorite song? If you have an Ozzy moment, if you've seen him live, I have at Ozfest multiple times. If anybody wants to kind of email in, share some moments, share some of their stories, or maybe their favorite songs. Um, Honestly, my favorite song is one of the songs when he went out solo on his own was "Mama, I'm Coming Home." That was one of my favorite songs that he did. I mean, I liked all the Black Sabbath stuff, but "Mama, I'm Coming Home" was one of the songs I really liked, and wasn't as wasn't really part of his hard. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't like a hard rock. It was a rock song, but it wasn't like really heavy. It had a lot of bass, and back in the 90s, we've talked about this. I had huge systems in my trucks, and the bass that came out of that song was crazy. But it's a great song. It's a really good song, and Yeah, man, Ozzy. Um, he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Black Sabbath. Um, they just don't. People just aren't innovative like him anymore. That's my opinion. I feel like everything has been done, and it's just hard to be original and to be an innovator this day and age. And Ozzy definitely was an innovator. He was a great father. He's a great husband. Everything I've read about him, and he will be missed by his family. He hasn't sang and really done music in so long, but uh, even today, people listen to Black Sabbath and uh, listen to Ozzy, and his music will continue on for another 100 years, more than likely. So, um, rest in peace, man, Ozzy. Bite a bat's head off wherever you are. Uh, but we appreciate all the music, everything you've done for music. I appreciate you, and my thoughts and condolences go out to the family, sending good vibes and all that good stuff. And man, not to stay on a sad note, but along with it seems like death always comes in threes. So we had another uh, actor and musician pass away this week. Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, for those that don't know, played Theo on the Cosby Show, and I know the whole thing with the Cosby Show. Bill Cosby, all the terrible things he did during that show. I get it, but that show. I grew up in the '80s. We watched that show, but he played Theo Huxtable. He was the son, and not only was he an actor on that show, later on he actually helped direct some of the episodes. He was an actor, he was a director, he was a poet, he was a musician, a jazz musician. Um, but Malcolm-Jamal Warner is born in 1970 in New Jersey. Played on the Cosby Show. He played on Malcolm and Eddie. Um, he played a doctor on The Resident. He was in the movie about the Tuskegee Airmen. Um, Played on another show called Read Between the Lines. But he drowned. I think it was in Puerto Rico, maybe, or Costa Rica. Um, he got caught up in the waves down there in the ocean and took him under. Man, the ocean is relentless, and it's nothing to play around with, and it's just unfortunate. A lot of people swim in the ocean all the time, and this doesn't happen. It's just a kind of a freak accident, and it's tragic, man. And he was only 54 years old, and I mean, I remember his character on the Cosby Show. He struggled with grades. He reached out. He touched a lot. Not only was that show, like a lot of black, a lot of African American people were not seen on TV shows. So the fact that the Cosby Show was an all black family, the father was a doctor, the mother was a lawyer. They were very well off. Um, but it touched a lot of people because that was something we weren't used to seeing on TV. And then the kids, struggling with their grades in school and learning lessons. It was a real show, right? Like it was realistic, so to speak. And he was a little bit of a comedian on the show. He had some kind of relief with his character, and like most teenagers, he was rebellious. He was vulnerable. It was just part of growth, man. And as a kid growing up, you kind of relate when you see those things. Um, a lot of child actors, I feel like, especially from shows from the '80s, they kind of fade away. But he went on to have a very, like I said, very great career. The show Malcolm and Eddie was on for 5 years with Eddie Griffin, another comedian. Um, Read Between the Lines. I'm not familiar with that show. That was a drama on BET. The Resident, like I said, he played a doctor on there. And then he played in a movie about the Tuskegee Airmen. Um, he's done some voiceover work and stuff like that. Um, and he was a jazz. He was a bassist, a jazz funk musician. Um, he was also a director. He directed, uh, some of the shows from the Cosby Show, even at a young age. Malcolm and Eddie. He directed some of those. Um, he also had a podcast, I believe, that was called. Um, what was his podcast called? It's Not All Hood, I think is what it was called. And he talked about mental health, struggles, and growing up being an African American in this country, and the mental challenges that they face and he faced, and he spoke out a lot on that. Um, he talked about being a black father in America and what it's like, the typecasting that goes on in Hollywood. Um, he did a lot for that community, and it's just a tragic event that happened with him, and for a lot of the child stars, he was one of the ones that went on to make something of his life. He didn't get into drugs and alcohol and all that type of stuff. He didn't have a lot of controversy, which a lot of child actors get into, actresses as well. Um, but yeah, man, uh, he's going to be missed by his family as well, and it's just a very unfortunate. Um, drowning is, we see drowning on TV, and they, when they show somebody dying and they're drowning, it's like, I mean, anybody ever like drank some water or something, and he kind of goes down the wrong pipe, as they say, and you kind of cough, and like how violent that is? Just imagine being in the ocean, being in water, and you're just inhaling all that water. It's a terrible way to die, and it's a sad. It's sad that happened, and my thoughts and condolences go out to him and his family and his friends and everybody impacted by the loss of of this guy, and he's going to be sorely missed, not only by his family, his friends, but uh, just everything he's done for African Americans and Black people in general. Uh, it's tough losing people like that. It's hard, and yeah, man, I hated starting the show off with some sad news, but these are two iconic people that I grew up listening to their music, watching them on TV, and they had an impact on my life. And like I said, if anybody wants to email the show, open my podcast 76 at outlook.com, and share some, if you got some thoughts or some stories or how they may have impacted your life, feel free to email the show or take a read on, if you want read on air, let me know. If you don't, that's fine. But I'd like to, if the listeners out there like to share some of that, I would appreciate that. And yeah, man, death is not something I've dealt with much in my life, and it's something that it's something you can't prepare yourself for. The fact that I've not had to deal with it as much, but then when I did have to deal with death in my life, I dealt with a lot in a short period, and it kind of made me deal with it, and it forced me to get better at dealing with it, I guess. It was always a fear of mine, and I think I've talked about this previously, but it was always a fear of mine, the fear of death. And um, but I think with losing my father and my pets, and I lost my grandmothers at a young age, it's like those things happen, and it forces you to deal with them. And I think I deal with it, and I look at death a little bit differently now. Um, our time is, we don't know when our time is up, and make the best out of your life while you're here is all I got to say. Because everybody's got an expiration date. We don't know what that is, um, but make the most out of it while you're here. And if you love someone, you care about them, tell them every day. Make sure they know, because you want them to know the last time they see you. You want them to know that you cared about them, you loved them. So, um, but anyways, man, I noticed, like you see this in the cities, at least where I'm at. I don't know if it's all over. I'm assuming, but the weirdest thing to me is everybody gets around on like electric bikes and electric scooters now, right? Which is fine. That's totally cool. But it's so weird because you go to places like DC, for example, and you'll be driving down the road or driving down the street, and you'll just see a random electric bike just sitting there, or a random scooter. And I guess they have these bikes and these scooters you can rent. And when you're done, you're done. You just park it where you're at, and that's it. If somebody needs one, they come along and get it. Now I'm assuming the companies that rent these things out, or whoever's responsible, eventually go around and kind of collect them and keep them in a centralized area. I'm not sure of that, but man, I see it at especially around like college cities, college towns, because those college kids will ride those things all over the place. But literally, when you're done, you just leave it. That's it. Oh, I'm done. I'm just gonna leave it right here, and somebody needs one, they'll come get it. That to me is so strange, and I don't know. Maybe it's not supposed to be done that way. I've never rented one. I've never rode on one. I remember a couple years back, I had somebody reach out to me about entrepreneur and like renting those things and starting. Damn, camera shaking. Kind of getting into that business, and maybe it was a good business venture. I don't know. I'm not a risk taker when it comes to that, so I did not get involved with that. Um, but I don't know. Has anybody else seen those? Because I just think it's weird that you just basically use it when you're done. You just set it at the end of the sidewalk or wherever you're at, and that's just it. It just sits there till somebody needs it. Like I said, if it doesn't get used, I'm assuming whoever rents these things or whatever, they go around and kind of collect them and put them in a centralized, area or whatever. I mean, they got to be charged at some point. They don't last forever, so um, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, the month of July has just I felt like the year's gone by so fast, and then we hit July and it was like wham, that's it. We're just gonna creep and creep and creep and creep, and I'm like, damn, man, this has long been the longest year. This year of July has been the longest one ever. And I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but man, I'm ready for, because I guess I'm just getting to a point where I'm just ready for summer to be over, man. We got another month of summer weather, even though the humidity has come down recently, but when it's hot like 90 and then it's the humid, like you add in a lot of humidity, that's just, man, you just be sitting out there and water just drains out your body. It's rough, man. Um, but I hope everybody's had a good summer so far. I know kids will be going back to school soon, and I know a lot of parents will be happy about that. I always see the jokes and the memes and the gifs that they can't wait till the kids go back to school. I don't feel like that's something I would rush. That's just me. Um, being a father, I want to cherish every moment I have, and I just feel like rushing that process along. Like you always see people like, man, you'll miss those fingerprints on the windows one day, or you'll miss the times you've had to pick up all the toys off the floor, or you'll miss the reading books to your kids at night before bed, and eventually they'll get to a point where they don't need you anymore, and you're not cool enough to hang out with them anymore, and that's a harsh reality, man. And I don't want to rush any of that. I want to cherish every moment I have. Um, watching them grow up. So that's just that's just me. But I had a lot of horror stories, man, before I became a father. That you're not going to get any sleep, and terrible twos come, and potty training is terrible, and just maybe those people have multiple kids. But you think after two or three kids, now I'm assuming every kid is probably different, right? I know that has to be a fact. Growing up in a I had 4 siblings, so I'm sure we all were different. But um, I don't know, man. It's a having children is something that people take for granted. There's a lot of people out there that like to have children that can't, and they never get the opportunity to adopt or anything either. People think you can just, oh, you want a kid, you go adopt. It's not that easy, and it's not cheap. It's very expensive, and it's a long process. So that's not always an option for people. So, man, if you got kids, man, cherish them. Cherish that moment. Don't take it for granted. Being a father is the best thing I ever did. It's the most challenging yet most rewarding thing you could do, in my opinion, in your life, or one of the most challenging and most rewarding. And nah, man, cherish those times, because I got friends, the kids have grown up and they've gone off to college, and they start becoming adults, and they become who they're going to be, and their path in life leads them away from where they grew up, and they don't come home as often, and they don't call as often anymore, and that's got to be tough. That's got to be tough. And so everybody has kids, man. Don't you never stop being a parent. Don't ever stop being a parent. I know it's hard sometimes. I got friends who struggle with their kids, and I say kids are kids like 20, 21 years old in their early 20s, and their kids struggle. Their children are struggling, trying to find their way in life. And I know we're just like, they're an adult, man. They got to figure it out. But I don't know. I don't want to be that parent. I want to be there for them. I'm not going to coddle and enable, but when they're struggling, I want them to come to me. Come to me. I'm your safe place. I'm here. I'm here to listen to you. Talk about your struggles, and I'm here to help you. And that'll never change. And that's what I want. That's the type of parent I am. And I know it's probably hard, and I'm not trying to tell anybody how to be a parent. I'm just offering some advice on how I see things. And some people can say, yeah, maybe he's got a point, and some people are like, he don't know what the hell he's talking about, which I probably don't. Um, but yeah, let's what's up with that? Let's go to um, let's look at some weird news headlines for this week. Let's see here. Let's see what we can find here. Do 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 do. What we got here? I don't know, YouTube. What's up with that? What's up with that? The videos, man. I don't want no videos. No videos. Out of this. Get out of here. Here's one. Ground squirrels are taking over North Dakota City. No. Ground squirrels are taking over North Dakota City. Over a North Dakota City, and officials are not amused. Ground squirrels are taking over North Dakota City, and officials are not amused. The Richardson ground squirrel weighs less than a pound. Is about a foot long. A foot long. Damn, that's a big squirrel. And is native to the northern plains. The little creature also is a ferocious tunneler, and it's exasperating the people of Minot, North Dakota, where it's burrowing everywhere from vacant lots in the middle of the town and growing more plentiful over the past 2 decades. Now, North Dakota's 4th largest city is fighting back, but even the pest control guy leading the charge acknowledges that it would be difficult to turn the tide against the rodent. A town. This sounds like something from some damn movie. Joshua Herman said fighting the squirrels is akin to one guy standing against a massive storm, a storm of squirrels. Oh, jeez. Oh, look at this guy. No wonder they're struggling. If I'm trapping, but my neighbor isn't, well, then we're not really going to get anywhere with it long term. God, that's what's going on in North Dakota. Ground squirrels. I didn't know there was a burrowing squirrel. That's really odd. That's really odd. The city, nearly 50,000 people live in Minot for at least 20 years, but the problem is dramatically worsened. Squirrels have been an issue for over 20 years, and it's getting worse. Street Department Superintendent. It's unclear how many squirrels live in Minot, but it likely nears or even exceeds the city. So that's crazy. 50,000 people live in this city, and they're telling me that more than 50,000 of these squirrels are in the city. That's crazy. What's up with that, man? City infested with groundhog squirrels, gophers. I said, kill all the gophers. Well, if I kill all the golfers, then there'll be nobody. I said golfers, not golfers. Anybody know what that's from? I'll give y'all $5 if y'all can tell me what that's from. I said golfers, not golfers. Let's see what we got. Beetle infestation. There we go. Let's check this one out. Hungary's oldest library is fighting to save 100,000 books from a beetle infestation. How old is this library? Tens of thousands of century-old books are being pulled from the shelves of medieval abbey in Hungary in an effort to save them from a beetle infestation that could wipe out centuries of history. The 1,000-year-old, the damn library, that's what I'm going to call it. They're calling it something else. I can't pronounce it. The library, a monastery that was one of Hungary's oldest centers for learning. Restoration workers are removing about 100,000 hand-bound books from their shelves and carefully placing them in crates to start a disinfection process aimed to kill the tiny beetles burrowed into them. Man, 100,000 books. Hand-bound books. They don't make books like that anymore. The drugstore beetle, also known as the bread beetle, is often found among dried foodstuffs like grain, flour, spices, but they're also attracted to the gelatin and starch-based additives found in books. They have been found in a section of the library housing around a quarter of the abbey's 400,000 volumes. This is an advanced insect infestation which has been detected in several parts of the library. So the entire collection is classified as infected and must be treated all the same time. We never encountered such a degree of infestation. So, a 1,000-year-old library in Hungary is being infested by beetles, and some town in North Dakota is being overrun by burrowing squirrels. If that ain't some weird headlines, I don't know what the hell is. What's up with that? Let's see. Let's go a couple more. Strawberries and pasta. What the hell? What's up with that? Strawberries and pasta? Unique Wimbledon tradition. Iga. This must be somebody playing at the Wimbledon. I don't know how old this is. Oh, it's from this year. Strawberries hold a special place in Wimbledon tradition, but strawberries and pasta? Iga Swiatek explained it's a dish from her native Poland. Why is it such a big thing? Everybody should eat that. A smiling said after her third round victory over Collins. I think in summer kids are eating it a lot. I don't know. It's just a perfect mix of taste. The All England Club estimates more than 35 tons of strawberries, usually with cream, are eaten each year. During a 2-week tournament, spectators can buy strawberry-inspired merchandise all over the grounds. It's got a picture of two people with these like strawberry like headgear things on. The 5-time Grand Slam champion mentioned the combination during her on-court interview. Urging fans, you should try it, guys. Pasta, strawberries, and a little bit of yogurt. It might not be bad, honestly. Pasta, strawberries. I'd say like, yeah, I guess you could do yogurt, like Greek yogurt. Kind of make it like a dessert. Yeah, it might not be bad if it's sweetened. Journalists quiz her about who has better strawberries, Poland or England. Honestly, I think Poland. I don't know. Strawberries and pasta. I guess don't knock it till you try it. I ate peanut butter mayonnaise sandwiches. Talking about weird. What's up with that? Let's find one more, man. One more weird and kind of odd headline. Oh, here we go. This is a good one here. I'd like to see this be done here in the States. A classical drive. Road rumble strips play Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Whew. In a highway. That's funny as hell. The Humble Road. This is in United Arab Emirates. I don't know how to pronounce that. Man, pardon me, man. My English is not great, and I definitely am not good at other languages. The Humble Road rumble strip used around the world to alert drifting drivers to potential hazards and lane departures can play Beethoven on a mountain highway in the far reaches of the United Arab Emirates for nearly a kilometer, which is about half a mile along the E84 highway, also known as the Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Road. Motorists in the right-hand lane. I know I butchered that. Coming into the city of Fujairah can play Ludwig van Beethoven's Ninth Symphony where the rubber meets the road. The Street of Music, of course, is an art project that exists in some countries, but we want this project to be in our country, said Ali Obaid Al-Hafati, the director of the Fine Arts Academy, which recently wrapped up the project in collaboration with local authorities. I think that the project focused on spreading the art culture, the combination of music in our lives and our normal lives. He added. People running off the road, running on these strips just to play that music. That's wild. That's very strange. For drivers coming in and familiar, the rumble strip initially looks like a larger rectangular version of the dash line separating the 3-lane highway. That's until you hit the first block and the grooves of the road combine with the speed of the vehicle to make the music. I'm curious to hear what that sounds like. Driving over each block sounds out the best-known parts of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the final movements commonly known as the tune Ode to Joy, or in its more modern form, the official anthem of the European Union. The road has become a social media sensation, bringing visitors to one of the lesser-known drivers have been spotted slowing down to experience the music roads. They're going to cause accidents. What's up with that, man? That's pretty cool, though, honestly, I think. And that's all we have for this week's. What's up with that? 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 Shut up! That's all I remember from that damn the Osbournes. Shut up! Shut up! I felt like that show did that man no justice because all they did was make fun of him. Y'all remember when MTV used to play music videos? And then they became like a reality, like everything that was reality. I remember the Real World. Man, I used to love that show back in the day. But I remember I first started watching that the very first season of the Real World. And then they came out with this show called Road Rules. And then they started to combine them. So people that were on the Real World, people on Road Rules, they started doing this challenge show. I used to watch all that, but yeah, I remember when MTV used to play music videos, and it went to that, and then they had MTV2, and MTV2 played videos from music that was not like mainstream, like stuff you wouldn't hear on like regular. I call it free radio. They would play all the music in the videos you didn't see on or you didn't hear on like regular radio. So that was pretty cool. But it was all the bands that you just didn't know much about. That eventually later on became more popular. But yeah, yeah, buddy. Yeah, man. I hope everybody's been having a good summer and chugging on along. Been busy at work, like I said. It's been kind of warm. Once that building I work in heats up, man, it stays hot, and it just eventually, man, the heat just sucks the life out of you. It just sucks the energy right out of you. But we was finally, it rains every weekend, so I was finally able to go to a car show the weekend. All right, my truck that I've been working on, I actually vinyl wrapped it. So it's like a color flip vinyl wrap now, and it looks pretty cool. I think so. Uh, I'll post some pictures on social media so you guys can see it. And but when I was leaving the show the weekend, there were some friends of mine there who I used to go to shows with back in the mid to late '90s when we were younger. We all hung out, and some of the guys were there at this show. It was a local show, and so it was kind of like cool to kind of sit and hang out and talk with those guys. And one of those guys, man, the truck, he still has his truck. His parents bought him back then that he customized did all work to. He still has that truck, which is crazy to me. But he said his first vehicle his parents bought him, like they bought it for him, they paid for it, and he's like, I'll never get rid of it, which I can appreciate that. But I'm telling y'all, man, this liquid death, this tea, this resting peach, man, if y'all like peach tea or anything like that, man, I'm telling y'all need to get this. And I don't drink a lot of caffeine because I have AFib, so I can't have stimulants. But this can only has 19 milligrams caffeine, which is not that much caffeine, and it doesn't have any sugar. Agave and stevia. I'm telling you, man, y'all, if you like peach tea, yeah, I think everybody would like this. And speaking of liquid death, they got a new flavor, and I ordered it. I had to order it because I couldn't find it in any stores. But it's fruity pebbles, and it's supposed to taste like cereal, like the milk you drink when you from your bowl of cereal. And since this is sparkling water, I don't know what that's going to taste like, but the curiosity got me, and I'm like, you know what? I want to buy it, and I'm gonna do a taste test on my next podcast. We're gonna do a taste test online, live on my podcast. I'm gonna do a taste test on the podcast. So, um, yeah, man, liquid death is. Some people might think it's kind of pricey, but I'm telling you, if you like peach tea, the Dead Billionaire one is good too. That's like lemonade iced tea. That one's really good too. But this peach one, man, I'm telling you, man, this stuff is good. It's really good. Um, but yeah, man, haven't been active. I gotta jump back on social media next week. Get back in the groove and get some videos out there and get my. I feel like uh my viewership took a hit because I haven't been active. But like I said, man, I was on vacation. I was busy with family and doing stuff and living my life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's all about, man. Living your life and um, taking a step back away from social media and all the electronics. We become so obsessed over in our lives anymore. And it's nice to take a step away from that and work on my house and work on my truck and do stuff and you know interact with people, right? Like people interaction. Like I hate emailing. I hate. I don't mind texting, but I got but the friends and stuff I text, like we know, like you lose a lot of things through translation through electronic communication because you can't sense like tone or like it's just hard, right? You can't physically see somebody, so you don't, you can misconstrue things. You don't know if people are being like smart ass, or they're being sarcastic, or they're being serious, or they're making a joke. You just don't know. And especially, I notice that a lot, especially at work, because everybody want to communicate through email and all that crap. And I'm like, man, I just rather pick up the phone and call somebody and talk to them. And so many people, and especially in the business world, they don't want to do that. They just want you to email or use Messenger. It's like, can I just pick up the phone and hear a voice? Like, I want to connect a voice. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just old fashioned, but um, that's just me. I'd rather talk to somebody than, um, I'd rather talk to somebody than always shooting emails and all that stuff back and forth. But, anyways, oh yeah, you would love my perspective. I bet you would. A lot of flooding going on, man. Like those kids out in Texas, I don't know that they didn't find any of them alive. They got swept away. It just seems like floods. Like even here, man. Like we've had like torrential monsoon rains at night. And the other day at work, we got this manhole, like this storm drain that runs through our building, right? Because there's a huge building I work in. There's a storm drain cover in the middle of the warehouse. And we came in the other morning, and that storm drain had been popped off, right? And there was a puddle. You could see where the pool of water had been, and then it receded. But down in that manhole where that storm water runs, that thing's like 4 feet deep. It it must be backed up. I don't know. I called the county to have them come out and take a look. I've been in that building for 16 years. I've never seen something like that. And water, I know water is very strong, but there was times we tried to get that manhole cover off, and that thing would not budge. We welded on that, like weld on that thing with a damn sledgehammer one day, trying to get that thing loose. Because who knows how long it's been since it's been open. And the fact that that water, it rained so much over the weekend, that water was rushing through that storm drain through there so much that it overflowed it. It couldn't keep up with it. I've never, 16 years I've been in that building, I've never seen that happen. And so it's just the weather's weird, man. And I know it changes every year, and people are like, well, it's global warming. Some people don't believe in global warming, and some people are like, well, every year is hotter than the other. And I remember that's not true. Some summers are hotter than others. Some winters are warmer than others. Um, I don't know about the global warming thing. It makes sense to me, but at the same time, like the planet is a living being, right? And it's going to expire at some point too. Nothing lives forever. So you just, I don't know. I don't know the facts or the science behind all that, but um, yeah, man, torrential rain. But those kids in Texas, they lost their lives, and you feel bad because they didn't get, by the time they got warning, it's over the night. They're asleep, not getting the warnings about, a storm coming, and so many things online. But I couldn't imagine. I talked about that on the last podcast, but yeah, I just couldn't imagine getting that call. But yeah, the rain here, like the last week, has just been. I mean, it rains, and it doesn't do the ground any good. Like everybody's like, "Well, we need some rain." It sound like that. I'm need my jeans shorts and my white New Balance shoes now because I sound like a dad. But it's like you need the rain, but when it rains that hard, the ground doesn't even have a chance to absorb it, so it doesn't do anything. It just runs off, or it rains hard for like 10 minutes and that's it. It's gone. So you literally don't get anything from it. But it's crazy, man. The weather is crazy, and then I always see the people like they talk about cloud seeding, and I don't know if you guys believe in that stuff, but um, it's like they can manipulate the. I mean, there's a cloud seeding company. There are cloud seeding companies out there, but I guess cloud seeding is a weather modification technique that involves introducing substance in the clouds to enhance precipitation, mitigate hail, and disperse fog. Um, so if they're cloud seeding around here, they need to stop because it's causing torrential monsoon rains, and a lot of people are saying that's what's causing all the rain and all the flooding going on now. I don't know how true that is. I don't think that's something we should be messing with. And if there's a drought, like we're talking about like severe drought, then yeah, maybe something like that can be introduced to help bring some rain. It's just not natural. And I just feel like When you start doing things like that that are unnatural, I don't know, where does it stop, right? Like where do we draw the line? And it's just, I don't know. It says benefits for managing water resources and mitigating extreme weather events. Ongoing research is necessary. Yeah, there's just not enough, and there's just not enough research behind it uh, to know if there's any negative effects from it over time, and or whether it actually does work. Now, I guess but the only way to get that research and that time is to keep doing it. Um, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Anybody out there want to reach out? Open Mic Podcast 76 Outlook.com. Reach out. Let me know what you know about cloud seeding. But it's like the whole chemtrails when you see a jet in the air and you see they're filling the air full of crap. I don't buy into that. I know a lot of people do, but I do not. The science behind that explains why there's a trail behind the jet or the plane that's that far up in the atmosphere, but I don't know. People are entitled to think what they want, I guess. I'm not here to try to change anybody's idea or change anybody's mind. How about open mic mailbag, man? Everybody likes the open mic mailbag. Uh, Open mic podcast 76 at outlook.com. If you'd like to email the show, give me a question, comment, concerns, whatever you want to talk about. If you want it read on air, if you do not want it read, you have to let me know you do not want it read. You can be serious, you can be funny, you can be goofy, you can be whatever. It's whatever. And open mic mailbag. Like to remind everybody to
For more awesome content, like and subscribe now.
YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Like, subscribe, interact with the show. I appreciate everybody listening. Everybody emails in. So let's take a look. Open mic mailbag. Let's see what we got. Here you go. Do you ever regret making the podcast public? Real question. Do you ever wish the podcast was just something you did for close friends or yourself? Like, is going public with your thoughts ever made you wish you could take something back? Curious how you manage that tension. Lena R, appreciate the email. Appreciate you listening to the show. There's been some there's been some obstacles with going public. I'm very careful with the things I share. When I first started podcasting, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I still don't, but I know a little more now than I did, when I started this. And yeah, there's some things I've taken back, and if there's things I didn't feel comfortable with after the fact, I go and delete those episodes and remove them. Now, once they've already out there, they're out there, and if anybody saved them or whatever, I can't do anything about that. That's why now I'm like, okay, and from other people's suggestions or whatever, I changed the way I approach certain situations or certain things I talk about or discuss, and I try to stay private to an extent as much as I can. Um, but no, I don't regret going public. That was always the intention of kind of going public with it. Now, I will say this: I think majority of people that listen are people that know me personally. Um, I'm sure there's some that don't. But no, I don't think I ever wanted to do it something just for close friends or just for myself. Like, I did do it for myself, but no, I don't. I don't. There's things I wish I could take back or that I could do over. And in that case, I just deleted those episodes if there's something I wasn't happy with, or if someone expressed a concern to me, I went back and removed them. Um, so that's kind of how I manage that. And then it's growth, man. You just grow as you go along. It's just you take constructive criticism, you listen to ideas from other people, and you just learn from other podcasters, right? So that's how I manage the tension. I wouldn't call it tension, but that's kind of how I manage that. But Lena, thank you for the email. Thank you for listening to the show. I appreciate your feedback and your question. Um, let's see. Here you go. What do you think podcasts will be in 10 years? Hi, Mike. Podcasting is everywhere now, but where do you honestly think it's headed? Will it get more corporate and boring or weirder and more independent? And how do you see your role changing in it? Cheers, Jordan. Jordan, appreciate you listening to the show. Appreciate your email. Podcasting is everywhere now. I feel like everybody has a podcast. Athletes, actors, actresses, whoever. Everybody has a podcast. And I think it's cool because I think it gives everybody a platform to talk about whatever they want to talk about. And you can choose whether you want to listen or not, right? Um, where do I think podcast is heading? Will it get more corporate or boring? I don't think it'll get boring. I don't think it'll get weirder or more independent. No, actually, I think it will be more independent. I don't see it being more corporate, even though I do think a lot of businesses now do create podcast shows. I know a lot of like a lot of the sports shows, for instance, that I watch on TV. They have a 2 or 3 hour sports show, but then they also have a podcast. And there's some guys I listen to on the radio, they have a podcast separate from the radio show as well, which is kind of odd to me that you would have a 2 or 3 hour show and then you'd have a podcast show on top of that. I don't know how they come up with the content. I feel like sometimes I struggle with content. Because I'm your average Joe, man. I'm your blue collar, typical, guy, just an average Joe with a microphone, just talking about whatever. But a lot of people tell me that they relate to me because I am real and I am real life, and I don't talk about Hollywood, and a lot of things are out of touch with reality. Like a lot of the things I talk about are realistic, and I think a lot of people that listen to my show tell me they can relate to that. Um, so I don't know, man. Podcasting isn't going anywhere. I don't think it's going away. It's not going anywhere. I think it's here to stay. And I don't know. I don't know how it'll. My role changing in it in podcasting, I don't think I'll ever be big enough to have a big influence in podcasting. But you never know. I enjoy doing it. It's a chance for me to talk about some things and interact with people and make some people laugh and whatever, and helps me. It just helps. It just feels good to get on a mic and get on here and connect with everybody and talk and just kind of BS for an hour or whatever. And I would like to start getting more guests on here, the people that be interested. I think that'd be good to do, and hopefully going forward, I can kind of see that, my role changing in that maybe, and maybe one day going to a 2-person podcast. I don't know, but right now we're just kind of going through the motions and chugging on along. But I think it'll continue to be more independent. Not weird, but I think a lot of corporate companies are getting involved with podcasting too. But Jordan, I appreciate the email. Appreciate you listening to the show. Appreciate your feedback, your question. Um, let's see. Please stop laughing at your own jokes. Dear Mike, not every joke needs a follow up giggle from yourself. You're not in the mirror. We're here. We heard it. Let us decide if it was funny. This is a podcast, not a one man laugh track with passive aggressive love. Carl, listener since episode 14. Well, you know what? I laugh at my own damn jokes. And I think I'm funny at times, and sometimes I'm probably corny. But yeah, you can decide if it's funny. But if I think it's funny, I'm going to laugh. And if I'm laughing, I feel good because I love to laugh. And I think the world needs more laughter. So, hey, man, Carl, I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate your email. I appreciate you checking out the show. Don't forget to like and follow, subscribe.
For more awesome content, like and subscribe now.
Uh, I appreciate the criticism, but it is a podcast and it is a one man laugh track, and I love to laugh, and I'm gonna laugh. Damn it, I love to laugh. It makes me feel good. Um, One more email. One more. Here you go. Subject. Do you ever regret? No. No. Where'd the one guy I was going to read? Where is that? I lose it. Here we go. How do you know when you're being authentic versus performing? Hey, Mike. Love the pod. I'm struggling with something. How do you know if you're being real, your real self on a mic, or just putting on a version you think people want? Do you ever catch yourself performing authenticity? Would love your take, best Theo. I appreciate the email. I think I'm pretty authentic. I don't find myself performing because I think people that know me, that listen to the podcast, um, know that this is me, like this is who I am. Now they may see a side of me that they didn't know existed, and I wouldn't call that as a performance. It's just a side that I was maybe never comfortable, you know, bringing out. And so when I'm doing the show this way, with especially when it was just audio, right? Like it took me a while to get comfortable enough to go on video and show my face and put a face to the voice for everybody. And yeah, I don't feel like it's a performance. Now, some people might, some podcasts, some people might feel like they're putting on a performance and they're not being authentic. But no, I don't feel like I'm performing. I feel like I'm being my authentic self, and um, I try to be as real as possible on a microphone, and because people have told me they relate to me when I talk about real life struggles and the real life things that go on, and it's reality. It's not out of touch with people, and um, I think if you were just performing and not being your authentic self, people would pick up on that pretty quick. And so we want to be authentic. I want to be authentic, and so um, no, I'm my authentic self, man. This is me. What you see is what you get, man. If you were to meet me on the street, I'd be just like I am right now. So, Theo, I appreciate the email. Uh, appreciate you listening to the show. Um, yeah, man. A lot of people are struggling right now, and I want everybody to know, man, that there's always help. Um, there's always help. I'm always available if somebody needs to reach out. Um, that's just not me talking. That's me being authentic. Like I want people to. Uh, I want people to know they're not alone. A lot of people I think are struggling financially right now, and I think it's hard. A lot of people are having a hard time, but I want you to know that um, things will get better. I know that's hard to believe sometimes, but things do get better, and we need. It's nice when you have a support system in place, whether it's friends, family. It could be a pet, it could be anything, man. Anything. Some people, they turn to religion, and you need something to believe in to make you feel like you're not just losing yourself in the world. And um, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to be a little positive note and just say, hey, look, tough times, man. Like I always say, you know, tough times don't last, but tough people do, and I truly believe in that. And I just want everybody to know, man, I'm always here. If somebody needs an ear, they need to chew in for a while, or they need somebody to talk to, or they're looking for some help, they're looking for some advice, they're looking for whatever, man. I'm always here. You can email the show. You can always reach out to me on my socials. Um, but we did a few songs. I made a joke that Jelly Roll better watch out, and I'm gonna call myself Swiss Roll, and I kind of like that. So I'm gonna do a podcast outro song again today, a little short and sweet. Uh, I feel like most of the time when I sing, it sounds like a country song, so I kind of sing it like a country song. Uh, but let's try this. It's time to close the mic, put the thoughts back on the shelf. You laughed a little louder, maybe learned about yourself. We went weird, we went deep, talked some truth, lost some sleep. But the silence always hits a little harder when it's real. Lost my place. Damn it. What the hell's going on here? Gotta start over now. Can't see. Let's start over. It's time to close the mic, put the thoughts back on the shelf. You laughed a little louder, maybe learned about yourself. We went weird, we went deep, talked some truth, lost some sleep. But the silence always hits a little harder when it's real. So thanks for the noise, for the stories and the mess, for the late night overthinking and the things we won't confess. We'll be back next time with some chaos and some grace. Till then, take a breath and leave a little space. You've been listening to the Open Mic Podcast, where thoughts don't always make sense, but they're always yours. Like I always say, tough times don't last. Tough people do. See you next time. Peace.